describe that in some detail now. So the trend for the last, 30, 40 years in computing has been cheaper, faster, smaller, better. And you've seen this yourself every time you go buy a new computer. Here's a nice illustration of that. In 2000, this was considered a state-of-the-art computer. Remember when Steve Jobs came back to Apple? This was the first computer. This iMac was kind of like the signature piece that heralded his return. And it cost about $2,000 for a 500 megahertz processor. Well, now, 10 years later, you can get 4 times the processing power in a package that's a fraction of the size for a quarter of the cost. So that's a great illustration of faster, cheaper, smaller, better. We've become accustomed to that, right? We expect it now. Every time you go to your mobile phone company to upgrade your plan or to get a new phone, your expectation is that you're going to get a better phone for less money, right? We've kind of become conditioned to that. For our kids, they're so spoiled because this is what they expect at Christmas now. It's like, hey, I want the new iPhone, I want the new Samsung phone, and that's kind of conditioned into them. So we have this expectation. That was not necessarily a given, but that is the great benefit of Moore's Law. So in the future, we're going to see smartphones and tablets rocking. This is a gigantic shift that's happening. We're going to ship 1 billion units next year, 1 billion smartphones. There's already 2 billion in the market. So this is actually tremendous. There'll be about 3 billion smartphones in use next year. And if anything, the iPad is growing even faster. Tablet computing in general is growing faster. And so what this chart shows you is the green line is the iPod, the black line is the iPhone, and the blue line is the iPad. And what they've done is they've taken the same first 10 months of sales and stacked them, and so that you can see how they sold in the first 10 months. And you can see the iPad is a phenomenon. It's actually stealing all the growth from the computer industry. The computer industry is declining, and all the growth, we continue to sell more CPUs, but all the growth is in tablets. Along with that, mobile data is going up at an unprecedented pace, and there are some tremendous stats out there right now about the rapid growth of mobile data. This is not a mobile talk, so I'm not going to delve much further into this, but what I do want you to take away here is that all the growth is going to be in mobile, and it's very important. It's not limited to phones and tablets. I'll explain what I mean in a second. So the PC sales are collapsing, and actually more recent charts show even more dramatic tapering of the sales. So that great 20, 30-year span of computer sales, that has come to an end. We can actually now predict the end of the desktop computer. It is in sight. It's partly because the new iPhone, with its 64-bit architecture, has all the processing power that the top-of-the-line Mac laptops had 5 years ago. So that new iPhone's as powerful as the state-of-the-art computer 5 years ago. And you know that that interval is going to shrink as well. And soon enough, you just look where Apple's placing all their bets. They're becoming a phone company. There's a reason why they took computer out of their name, right? A few years ago, they just changed the name from Apple Computer to Apple Inc. It's because they can see the demise of the computer ahead. And today, those desktop computers are a vanishing fraction of Apple's total revenue. Most of their profit and revenue are coming from iPhone and iPad. So that's where their growth is going to occur. So as the processors get cheaper, smaller, faster, and better, we're starting to see them proliferate through other devices like smart TVs. In your house, in your kitchen, you're going to have a smart kitchen with smart appliances throughout the home. I just had a new AC system installed in my house, and when they got done installing, the foreman said, "Can I have your Wi-Fi password?" And I was like, "What, are you going to check your email or something?" He said, "No, I need to set up your thermostat." And I'm like, "You don't need my Wi-Fi password for that." He said, "Sure I do." And he did, and he said, "Here, download the app so I can control the AC in my house from my smartphone." You might wonder, well, why do you need that? Well, if you live in LA, I live in LA, I may come home where it's 100 degrees. I'm at the airport. I wouldn't mind it if my home was cooled by the time I got to my house. So it's kind of a cool idea. But where it really gets interesting is when these things start talking to each other. There's new Bluetooth standards. If you had Bluetooth in the past, you were probably frustrated because pairing it was a hassle. Battery life was not very reliable. The early Bluetooth components weren't that great. Sometimes you'd have a Bluetooth earpiece, it'd be all staticky, you couldn't really hear very well. So people were pretty dissatisfied by the first version of Bluetooth, but the new version, the low energy consumption version of Bluetooth, is phenomenal, and it means that you can virtualize the computer. You don't need it all in one piece. Your smartphone can be in your pocket, and with Bluetooth low energy, you'll be able to communicate to a keyboard and a monitor that aren't connected with wires to anything. So actually the wireless future is finally coming. If you look in your den, your office at home, you got cables going everywhere. You go, where's the wireless in my house? We're going to very quickly get to that point now where you'll just have a power cable and no other cables connecting things. At the heart of it all will be a smartphone, I think. Your smartphone will become kind of your ignition key for this smart world. And it won't just talk to your air conditioning system. It'll talk to every gizmo in your house. It'll talk to every system in your house, and those systems will talk to each other. That's the heart of the concept of the Internet of Everything. We have smart systems that communicate with each other. Recently, Nest, you heard about Nest. These are a bunch of former Apple engineers who left to launch a company to do the Internet of Things in the home. And their first product is a thermometer, the Nest thermometer. It's a thing of beauty. It's actually what caused Honeywell to upgrade all of their systems, the ones that I bought. So the Nest is like a smart thermometer. Well, they just introduced now a smart fire detector. And the two systems talk to each other. It's actually quite cool. So if the smoke detector detects smoke or a fire of some sort or a gas leak, it tells the thermostat to shut off the gas line. It's actually pretty smart. So like it can solve the problem before you even are awake or woken up or alerted to the fact. So that's actually one illustration of how these systems can talk to each other. So your smart home will be connected to a smart grid. And of course, the smart grid will be part of a smart city. There are more than 100 smart city projects underway right now around the world. And they're not just in North America or Europe. They're all over the world. So this is the idea is that you're turning the city into kind of a grand computer system where every device can talk to each other, and they'll be generating tons of data that can help the city managers optimize resources in that city. You see something similar happening in cars right now. So I know people who do this. They don't like the GPS system in their car, so they Velcro an iPad to their dashboard. They're trying to modify their cars. People are frustrated that the car is a closed system. They want the ability to modify the car the same way they can modify their smartphone. See, this is conditioning us to approach the world in a different way. These smartphones are so ubiquitous now. In the last 5 years, we've become so conditioned by the smartphone, the adaptability, the customizability, the extensibility of it, that we now want to apply that to everything in the world. Every screen we touch that doesn't respond to us that way, we feel frustrated by. So in the car, we're trying to modify it. Here's a funny idea of what might happen in the future when you can download apps to your car and their heads-up display, and this is obviously an exaggeration, but I don't think it's too far off from what we're about to experience in the car. Right now, if I were in the automotive business, I would be very, very, very afraid of Apple, Google, and Microsoft. These companies are making aggressive approaches to the automotive industry because they look at the automobile as the next smartphone. Literally, they're going to impose a layer of software on top that'll commoditize that hardware, and they'll control all the software and all the value-added services on top of that car. In this section, the one thing I want you to take away is that the idea of the computer that is networked, that can talk to other computers, that is going to become ubiquitous. We're right at that stage now. This is rolling out right now. It's not 10 years in the future. We're going through that process now. Every student that you are teaching, no matter what field, no matter what discipline, no matter what they choose to do as entrepreneurs in the future, they are going to be affected by this because this is a computer, this is a computer, this is a computer, this robot is a computer. In fact, now they have factories in Japan that are entirely computerized. There are no human beings in them. They're basically a giant machine filled with robots. You put materials in one end and out the other end comes a car or a finished camera. This warehouse is a computer. There aren't human beings in it. These farms are turning into computers, robotic milking machines that automatically take care of the farm animals. Here's the Nest thermometer that I mentioned as well. So your home energy system is going to be run by a computer, and so will your lighting. I'm working on a project right now, the dear friend of mine who is creating an LED system that you can control with an app. It's a fantastic idea. At first you're like, why would I want to program my own lights? But as soon as you can, you go, wow, how come we never were able to do this before? Right now, if you think about it, your lighting system at home, it's really dumb. It's on or off. It's binary, right? Why can't you have an infinite number of degrees? Like, I'd like candlelight. Now I'd like it to be brilliant. Now I want holiday lights. I want birthday lights, whatever. You can change that lighting system with an app. In Cleveland, where I grew up, I was recently there. The Cleveland Art Museum has been under construction for the past 5 years, and they just reopened it. And if you go to Cleveland, it's magnificent. I urge you to check it out. And if you're interested in interactive things, which I certainly am, the entire first floor has the most stunning display of interactivity that I've ever seen, including this gigantic wall-sized screen that allows anyone, a little child, an old person, to browse the entire collection. So you can choose whether you want to see a face, if you want to see portraits, if you want to see Renaissance paintings, whatever theme, whatever node or whatever kind of tag you want to use to navigate through it, you can, and the system responds. And it has physics built into this place, so you can move things and they go sliding across the screen. It's super fun. And just watching people interact with this, I spent a half an hour just watching the crowd using this wall. It is an enormous wall. It's about the length of that wall over there. So it's a very cool thing, but I think we're going to start to see this happen more and more. And so people are going to start to come with the expectation that the room you're in has a computer driving it, and that computer will respond to you. It'll be aware of you. Let's not forget our contestants on game shows, our computers. I deal a lot with TV companies, and I think they're a little freaked out because their business is changing so very quickly. This is kind of an unexpected twist. This Nikon camera runs Android operating system. It's basically a phone built into a camera. The flip side, right? Everybody now has a smartphone with a camera built in. So wisely, Nikon said, why don't we flip it around? Let's put the phone inside of the camera so you can download Android apps. You can edit the photos right on your camera. It's smart. This is Chromecast. Have you seen this? It's unbelievable. $35, and you can stream internet content straight to your TV set. It's super easy to set it up. It finds your Wi-Fi really easily. So that's another example of a computer. Here we virtualized the keyboard. This is a wrist controller for a drone, for a personal drone. You've all heard about Google Glass, the wearable computers. Wearables is a very hot area. Here's Nike Fuel Band. This is called Flora. It's a computer that's designed to be woven into fabric so that you can now have computers built into your clothing. I don't think anyone's used it yet. It's kind of a new thing. We're also looking at implants of various sorts and projected what they call skin put, where you wear a pendant. The computer's independent. You don't need your smartphone anymore. And when you want to dial or do anything, you can just use your hand as the kind of flat computing surface. Here's another illustration of that concept. Okay, so if you're in the business of building new things and launching new businesses, you will be in the software business. This is my assurance to you. This is my guarantee to you.